this is Chase Utley, and this is the Phillies Show.
Hey, everybody. Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zalecki, brought to you by Foul Territory Network. Good morning. It's Wednesday, November 27th, 2024. It's the day before Thanksgiving.
Is there anything better than Thanksgiving, boys?
I love
honestly,
Thanksgiving.
Isn't it just the greatest time of the year? I mean, I love the fall, but because of fall baseball and stuff. But dude, Thanksgiving with your friends and family, it's just the best.
If you like your friends and family, I like my friends and family.
That's a good point.
No, but I agree. You get the holidays going. You start seeing the people outside decorating, putting the Christmas lights out, the Christmas trees, the music, just the whole vibe of the season is just amazing.
What do you think, Jim? Apparently, Jim, you don't like it. Chime it
in. I like Thanksgiving, and I grew up in the area where it started when the Wampanoag Indians and the local colonists celebrated, getting through the winter or the harvest, I guess it was, and they ate seafood and wild turkey. And, I like turkey, but I guess the turkey is a symbol because they ate it at like the first Thanksgiving. I kind of wish they had pizza and chicken Parmesan at the first Thanksgiving, and that became the tradition. But other than that, I love it.
Too much tryptophan for you. You can knocks you out.
So funny. So I'm going to test you guys on something. So I was thinking back to like past Thanksgivings. And one Thanksgiving sticks out for me as a Phillies beat writer. I'm going to throw a date at you. November 25th, 2005. Day before Thanksgiving. Boom. What happened that day?
2005.
November 25th.
Was that when Millwood was that Millwood?
No, it was not. It was
Millwood.
Let me tell you, November 25th, 2005. It was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Both of you guys were involved in this.
Oh, I remember.
Jim, you reporting. Okay, go for it, Jim.
I remember driving up to New England and reporting and having my cell phone on the Connecticut Turnpike and reporting that story as Jim told me was sent to the White Sox, right?
Yes, correct. For Aaron Rowand and
left-handed pitcher.
Gio Gonzalez,
who's a player to be named, and Daniel Hagewood.
Hagewood.
Yes,
I actually was able to track down Jim that night, and I still remember speaking to him from my brother's house up in New England, and then writing that story. And we remember at the Inquirer, we were at the Inquirer, Todd. We had really early deadlines and trying to. Because Thanksgiving, the night before Thanksgiving. And oh boy, I remember that well now.
Yeah, I remember I was in Wisconsin at my parents' house and just talking to you while you were driving. And I don't know who I was calling and talking to. And I just remember my folks going, "Do you have to work today?" It's like, yeah, they just traded Jim told me.
Yeah,
I got to write a story. I got to write a story on this.
That was a big one.
I remember all heck breaking loose on a number of holidays over the years. But yeah, I mean, there was that year you guys were in the mix for Schilling when you ended up in Boston, and that was sort of at Thanksgiving time. But yeah, a lot of stuff blows up at Christmas time. I remember one year, on like a Christmas Eve writing about Bobby Estalella having a surgery, I think. Like that. You guys announced that on Christmas Eve. Thank you, Ruben.
I'm here for you, my friend. It was nonstop, 24/7, baby.
I can picture them up there. Let's announce this when we can, at the most inconvenient time, like, when they're ladling on the gravy,
Did it on purpose, just to screw you.
You guys were sitting on that for a week and said, talk to PR and go, 6:30 p.m. Christmas Eve. I want you to send that release. But
December 31st, right around 9 o'clock.
Paul Hagen gets inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I'm up there spending the weekend trying to enjoy watching my friend go in the Hall of Fame, and Ruben is signing Miguel Alfredo Gonzalez, and I'm having to excuse myself from dinners and
The original
banquets to try to chase this thing down. Now Ruben's playing hard to get, and he's driving me nuts. And oh my God,
Philly.
What?
The original MAGA in Philly.
The original MAGA.
You know, that sounds really funny, but I can't hear you.
Oh, no, we were muffling each other.
The original MAGA. MAG.
Oh, yeah. Miguel Alfredo.
We were making baseball great again in Philly.
Miguel Alfredo Gonzalez. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. Well, we don't expect any big Thanksgiving. Well, I shouldn't say we don't expect. They could spring it on us at a moment's notice today. I mean, very well, Jim, you and I could be rushing to our laptops at 9 o'clock Wednesday night for a big Phillies trade. But there's been a lot of talk about Juan Soto. There's a report just a few days ago that the Phillies have not met with Juan Soto yet. They, they're going to meet with him at some point, but also that they have not even communicated at all with Scott Boras or anybody associated with Scott Boras. I've been told that, no surprise, they've communicated with Scott Boras about Juan Soto and others. So that I can tell you that they have not met with them. They expect to meet with them at some point. I don't know when that will be, but there's, so just a little kernel. It's not a big deal, but just wanted to mention it because do we even think it gets to the stage? I'm sure they'll do their due diligence, but does it even get to the stage where they make an offer? Great point.
It's a great point. I don't know. It may or may not. I know that they're going to start fielding offers. At least that's the rumor out there. They haven't made that presentation like other teams have. It sounds like the Mets and the Dodgers have made a presentation to Scott Boras. Scott Boras doesn't really need a presentation maybe he would want one if he's going to sign with him. But I mean, he knows everything there needs to be known about the Phillies through his biggest client, one of his biggest clients in Harper. So I don't know. It's a great point, though, Jim. I don't know if they get to the point where and I think what John Middleton actually said, I don't mind being a stalking horse, but I'm not sure if they get to the point where they're able to make an offer. And I think I think that they probably have some moving parts. Like if they don't move salary, like a Castellanos salary or somebody like that, they can't. I don't know that they really can. So I think that might come after the winter meetings or after, somebody's moved off of their payroll for them to really make a real solid offer.
I mean, because these offers generally come after the presentation, the sizzle video, the meeting, the private jet, then the offer rolls. And I'm just wondering, when I think about even making an offer, because of the people that are involved in this situation, namely Scott Boras. He also represents Bryce Harper. We've heard and seen evidence that Bryce Harper would like an extension or a bump on the AAV, who knows? I mean, do you make a big offer to somebody when you probably know it might come up short? How does that affect how another Boras client kind of looks at things when he might be starting to feel a little bit underpaid? I think it's kind of complicating.
Yeah, it's very complicated. I mean, you think of, say they throw out $500 million. Yeah. Bryce Harper's going to sit there and go, "This guy's worth $170 million more than me." Yeah. I mean, really?
Even if you don't consummate the deal,
so you have the money.
Yeah.
Because he offered it.
Yeah.
How about throw us a little my way?
It can get a little complicating. I mean, I went through that a little bit with when we ended up signing Cliff Lee back and we had Roy Halladay, and I had told him at that point, I told Roy, "You were going to be the highest paid player we have." 2 years later, I'm reneging on that. Now I talked to him about it and discussed it with him prior, just let him know that we were in the midst of having that negotiation. He was very amenable. He was like, "I don't care, man.
Yeah,
I got, do whatever you got to do to make this team be a winner." And that was sort of the beauty of Roy Halladay. But I don't know what the psyche of a guy like Harper would be in this situation. I would assume he'll say, "Hey, get the best players so we can get, so we can get that trophy back." But
you're also telling the agent, "Hey, we have this money," and now the agent's gonna he's has a responsibility to maximize his client's value and salary, he's going to, you know, has a chance to use that information. It just seems very convoluted and slippery slopish to me.
It does, except, you know, the reality of it was when he signed that contract, Bryce Harper, no one had a gun to his head. I mean, he was a guy that signed the contract willingly. He wanted to stay in Philly. He had a no trade. You know, he didn't want to go anywhere. He's got no opt-outs in there. And so that was a decision that he made. And so, I mean, contract's a contract, man, as far as I'm concerned. It's not like the NBA or the NFL where you can, like, opt out of your, you know, you're allowed to opt out or you're asked to come out of it. So, I mean, this is guaranteed. That's the beauty of guaranteed money, is that you get it's guaranteed. So if he flops or gets hurt or whatever the case may be, he still gets paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is complicated. It is complicated.
Very complicated. So Thanksgiving is tomorrow. It's Thursday. And so we thought we would talk about things in baseball that we're thankful for. You know, we're in the holiday spirit here at the Phillies show.
What are you thankful for there?
Let's start with Jim.
Okay.
Let's start with Jim. I'm gonna hear what Jim's thankful. He was the slowest to respond of is he excited for the holidays?
Right. Yeah. Good point.
You know,
great point.
I hope I'm not getting mushy because I know Ruben gets very emotional. But, you know, when I was a little kid, like 4 or 5 years old, my father had me out in the backyard and he was throwing me balls, and one of them, like, hit me right in the mouth, and I had a mouthful of blood, split my lip and my teeth and everything. And, you know, my mother apparently gave my father holy hell for blowing up my face. And my father's response to her was, if I can just teach this kid the game, he's going to love it the rest of his life. And he was so right. And I'm so happy that my dad introduced me to the game. My mother didn't kill him for splitting open my face. And it has been a lifelong love affair. It's been a vocation, an avocation, and the relationships with players, you know, coaches, managers, front office officials, other reporters, fans. So I'm just really thankful to that. And speaking of the fans, I'm thankful that for all the folks that have given us a chance on this podcast, because it's been so much fun.
That's great stuff, man. Yeah, that's awesome. You know, I remember being in the backyard with my dad. He'd throw tennis balls. He'd go on the other side of the house, and me and my brother would be in the backyard, and he'd throw tennis balls over the roof. And we thought that was the greatest thing in the entire world. So it was so fun. We'd try to catch him and whatnot. I actually have done that with my own son and daughter, throw them over the roof, and it's amazing the kick they got out of it. So those memories are just amazing. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Keep going, Todd. Keep going, Todd.
Oh man. Well, you know, I actually wrote down, you know, this. I'm thankful for this podcast, and I'm also thankful for the response that we have gotten from the Phillies show. And I've said this before, but it is funny. I've gotten more positive feedback and more comments from just fans at the ballpark and just out and about this show than any reporting or writing or story I've written, you know, but I think it speaks to, like, you know, how much people are enjoying this. And I think people can tell how much we enjoy getting together, you know, 2-3 times a week and talking baseball. We have a lot of fun. So I'm really appreciative of you guys joining up and the fans that have been listening on podcasts and watching on YouTube. That's been absolutely a blast. So it kind of fuels me to kind of keep this going and see where it can take us.
Keep the Todd Pod going.
Yeah, baby. Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. Ruben, do you have anything? What do you got?
I got a bunch of them, but I mean, it goes without saying about, you know, my life in baseball. Obviously, my family. Jim, you alluded to it. My family, you know, being involved in baseball, I get to do something that I truly love, you know, in so many different capacities. So without getting too emotional about it, the fact that my grandfather played baseball, you know, a century ago almost, and started this baseball life in Cuba and Mexico, and then, you know, obviously passed it down to my dad, and then my dad passing it to me. It's brought my family great joy, and it's been, you know, it's been amazing for me. I'm thankful for and I wrote this down too. This was my 5th one, but I'll mention it as well. The podcast, to be able to be on there with you guys and to build the relationships over the years with both of you guys. I know how much you guys both love the sport and love doing what you're doing. I wouldn't be doing this if I mean, I've always been friends with you guys, but I wouldn't be doing this unless I knew that you guys were really passionate and really love this game. And you love the covering the Phillies. I mean, it's been, sort of a, couple of decades old theme for you guys, how much you enjoy working and doing what you do with baseball. So thankful for you guys to be able to be on this podcast. So Tom McCarthy is a great partner. I wanted to be thankful for him because he's the best. Mm-hmm. Everything he does. He's also a great human being, but he's an amazing broadcast partner for me. I wanted to mention him. I wanted to mention Zach Wheeler because Zach Wheeler to me has been a joy to watch. I have a really big thing in my heart for this guy. Just watching him grow up when he was with the Mets and now grow up to be the pitcher that he is today. I know he's been sort of not screwed, but I mean, especially the first time with Birds. But I mean, he's gotten he's had 2 Cy Young type seasons, and I think he's a great pitcher, and also very grateful to be able to watch him on a daily and to be able to broadcast about him. And I wanted to say something about Rob Thompson because I don't think that he gets a whole lot of love. I think Rob Thompson's one of the best managers we've ever had in this city and one of the best leaders. I really do. I think he's spectacular. I don't know what his future holds. I know he's gotten, I know they picked up his option or whatever the case may be or extended him. I think that the man is tremendous. I think he is very conscious of the job that he has to do on the field and the way that he handles and loves his players. And that's a tremendous combination of person. He is someone who grinded it through the minor leagues and became, the leader he is today. And he learned from some great leaders and came from a great baseball background. And for a Canadian who is basically, basically a hockey guy to become the kind of baseball leader that he is, I'm pretty grateful for him as well. So, and then finally, I wanted to say something about the fans. It's amazing. I mean, watch it with not just the Phillies and how much they travel, but the Eagles and all the other sports and how passionate the fans are here and how much they love their sports and hate their sports sometimes. But I think the passion that they have for the sport is just amazing. And there's nothing like it. I guarantee you, I've been around, believe me, I've been to a bunch of cities. I've been in New York, I've been in Boston, and there's passion there. There's no question. But there's nothing like the Philadelphia fan. And I'm grateful for them because we wouldn't be doing this podcast without them.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, you mentioned Rob Thompson. Maybe he's sitting at home on his lazy boy with Labatt's Blue watching the Leafs before a Leafs game and appreciates your kind words. No, I appreciate it. And Rob is a great guy.
Awesome.
To write about. Just a great person. People
and a great person.
Yeah, just a tremendous human being. I mean, really is. And that is why players love playing for him, and that stuff matters over the grind of a 6-month season. It really does
matter.
It's really, really important to have a leader that you respect and like and make you want to play hard every day. So when
Canada has had a great impact on the American game of baseball. So who's the most legendary baseball figure of all time? Todd? Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth, yeah. Okay.
You don't think he'd get out of A-ball nowadays because you don't respect anything that happened pre-1950. Anyway, but I'm on one of my famous tangents now.
Go ahead, brother.
Babe Ruth was taught the game by a Canadian, brother Matthias, at the industrial school in Baltimore. He ran the school. He was the baseball coach, the principal, the head disciplinarian. He was everything. This guy, brother Matthias, and he was from Cape Breton in Canada. So he taught Babe Ruth baseball. So that it has a
how about that
link?
Brother Matthias,
look him up.
How do you do it, Jim? How do you do it?
Jim, you got to be. What else are you thankful for as we?
I've given this a lot of thought, and I'm going to do this in 1 minute. All the cool things I've gotten to see, in person and written about. Okay, ready?
Okay.
Lidge 48 for 48. Ryan Howard home run king seasons. Chase Utley career 5 home runs in the 09 World Series. Jimmy 07. With a team to beat and wearing it and backing it up every freaking day.
Yeah.
Kurt Schilling back-to-back 300 strikeout seasons. Doc's perfect game in his playoff no. Bedlam at the bank. Hamels no. And then even outside the Phillies realm, I was at the game when I covered the game when Jeter made that great play in Oakland to cut down Jeremy Giambi.
Yeah.
I covered the game when Dave Roberts had the history-making stolen base in 2004. The year before that, I was at Boone's home run when he won the ALCS for the Yankees. I covered the bloody sock game. I covered Jeter's rookie year. That was really special, but just as special in that year, in 1996, the Yankees had this right-hander that was out of options, and they didn't know what the hell to do with him. So they made him a setup man. His name was Mariano
Rivera. Wow.
I was at the game the night in 2006 at Shea Stadium when Endy Chavez climbed the wall on Scott Rowland. Still the greatest catch I've ever seen. And a few others I can't read my writing. But the All-Star game in Boston in 99 when Ted Williams was surrounded by all the people, all the great players. I mean, that was really moving. So many, and I'm sure there's a lot more, but those are some of the ones I was just so thankful to see up close and personal. I covered the game when Zimmer and Pedro went at it. And that was amazing.
Oh my gosh, you were
to see a lot of really cool things. And I got to cover a game in Wrigley Field, day game. And I just remember it was a day game, and Ruben had the game-winning hit, and get to interview him after the game. Pretty special.
Oh, that's nice.
That's awesome. Nice. That's awesome.
I got a game-winning hit in Wrigley.
Yes.
Wow. Was it a triple down the right field line or a double down the right field line off of somebody?
I think it was late in the game because I had already gone down in the stands. You had to work your way down, and it was like I was standing in one of the little alleys there, and it happened right in front of me. And I think you were actually PO'd at me, and you kind of big-timed me after the game. Weren't going to talk to me.
That's how I do it. I was an ass.
Oh, that's so funny.
Did I keep it to 1 minute? No.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. Yeah. I've had a couple.
You took me down memory lane, Jim. That was sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah. So many great, moments covering the Phillies for sure. I mean, Halliday's no-hitter in the NLDS was just, it was just unbelievable to watch.
Wrigley Field. Oh.
Hamels Wrigley Field, the Odubel Herrera catch. After that game, Odubel Herrera makes his circus catch on the warning track, and Odubel's coming out of the shower, and his English wasn't great, but he could understand it 100% clearly. I go, we need to talk to you after you're done getting dressed. Don't go anywhere. Dude leaves. Just left the clubhouse. I'm asking Phillies. I'm like, where'd Odubel go? Like, I think he left for the bus. So I take off. I'm running down the corridor like a huge loser. And Odubel's about to get in the bus. I've never done this. I've never chased a player of the bus. It's just something you don't do. I grab him on the shoulder. I go like this. He jumps up, scared the crap out of him. And thank God Andres Blanco was there, Whitey. And I go, what are you doing? We need to talk to you. And Andres Blanco goes, what? I said, this guy left without talking to us. He made the final out, this ridiculous catch. And Andres Blanco, I didn't know what he was saying in Spanish, but he was basically yelling at Odubel Herrera in Spanish, going, are you insane? You've got to talk to these guys.
Whitey's great.
Yeah, Whitey was great. And so Whitey translated for me. And it got our quotes, gave it to, passed it over to all the other writers. Because I said, I'm going to run after him. I'm going to catch that guy before he gets on the bus. So
how about Odubel? Odubel never knew anybody's name. He didn't know anybody's name. So, he's here for years. And Greg Castriato is the great PR guy. And Greg goes up to him one day and says, hey, Odubel, you've been here 3 years. My name is Greg. Call me Greg. And Odubel goes, okay, Poppy. And he walks in.
Oh my gosh, that's good. There's so many good stuff, so much good stuff. I put down, I mentioned that, wrote down that I'm thankful for spring training in Clearwater, Florida. Spring training in Clearwater. If you think of, Arizona, everything's all kind of bunched together, but you think of all the locations where the Phillies could be in Florida. They could be, no disrespect, but they could be in Northport. They could be in Port Charlotte. They could be in Lakeland. They could be in Winter Haven. Again, that's home of Charlie Manuel. Char, if you're listening, no disrespect to Winter Haven, but there's nothing that beats spring training in Clearwater, Florida. I mentioned this to my wife last night. She goes, Clear, that means you're gone for 6 weeks. I said, I'm not saying I'm excited to leave for 6 weeks. I'm just saying it's a great place to have spring training. I mean, the location there, it really is. People, Phillies fans are very, very lucky that they can watch a baseball game in the afternoon, go down to Clearwater Beach at night, spend the morning at the beach, go to a baseball game in the afternoon. There's really nothing better than that. I always tell people you should really have Clearwater on your bucket list of things to do while you can.
And the folks who run that team, the folks who run the Threshers are awesome.
Yes. Everybody there is fantastic. Yeah, no doubt about it. Just a great ball and a great spring training ballpark too. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
It's not just they have a great location. The ballpark is also fantastic.
Did a nice job there.
Yeah, the Tiki Bar in left field. You got the berm and the obviously in the outfield seats, and good food, good beer there. Not that I drink during the game. I would like to sometimes, but Clearwater, Florida for spring training. I'm very thankful that that's where we get to spend 6 weeks every spring. No doubt about it.
Great call.
Yeah,
great call, man. Definitely a bucket lister.
Yeah, and then folks. And just in terms of the job, one of the cool parts for me, of course, is like just going around and seeing other ballparks. It's really cool to like add up your tally of every ballpark you've been to. And my favorite trips every year out to the NL West. That's another thing I always tell people, there's usually a couple NL West trips where they, sandwich, put them back to back, if it's San Diego, San Francisco, LA, San Diego, etc. I always say, like, if you're a Phillies fan, those are the cities you want to try to knock out. Petco Park, Oracle Park in San Francisco, Dodger Stadium. I love Dodger Stadium. Chase Field, that would be at the bottom of my list, but good city, good food, a lot of good restaurants in those towns. So that's a kind of a cool thing. As being a Phillies beat writer, is getting to run out to those NL West cities every year. It's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so Thanksgiving's tomorrow. You guys, do you guys have any favorite?
One more. I got one more I want to say.
Okay.
So, like 20 some odd years ago, I made a trip to the Dominican Republic with Sal Agustinelli, and it gave me so much perspective. And, over the years, I've really had great relationships with so many Latin American players, and I just love them. So many guys. And I love how hard they try with the language and how patient they are, how courageous they are. That's hard to do. And I've had dozens of good relationships with the Latin American kids. And, when you go down there and you see where they came from, you really have an appreciation for their journey. And, seeing how bad they want it. I remember going to tryouts with Sal, and he would, lay out the 60-yard dash tape measure. And these kids were literally running for their lives. They were like running to change their lives and their family's life. And to see how bad they wanted it and to where they came from, and the ragged fields and the equipment, but the love of the game they just exuded. And to see them, try to reach for the stars and come to the States and be major leaguers and make it, it just gave me real appreciation. And I'm grateful for so many of those relationships with those Latin American players, going back to the mid-'90s, really warm people. And a lot of them have become just great friends. You see Chooch once every couple of years, big hug, It's great. So just that trip really opened my eyes and gave me an appreciation. I'm really grateful for that. And I'm grateful for those guys.
That's cool. I've never been in the Dominican, but I would love to go one day. But yeah, the fact that these guys come up here and then we try to ask them, and they've learned the language. You mentioned Chooch. I remember First few years, he always had to have an interpreter with him when you did an interview. And then by the end of it, boom, he was talking post game, talking about the pitcher and what a job he did. And just you
imitating Victorino.
Imitating Victorino. Like I said. So, yeah, those
great
guys.
Call, Jim.
Tremendous respect for any of those guys. All those guys.
The bottom line is, it's a great game. And we're lucky to be involved in it.
No doubt. No doubt.
I mean, Ruben,
I've gotten to live. I mean, this is my life. I've gotten to live it for. Wow, I've been in organized baseball for 51 years.
Wow.
I mean, you have what an amazing run you've had. I used to go to Fenway Park.
59.
I used to go to Fenway Park as a kid, and when I was a kid, go to Fenway Park. And I would watch the bat boy, and I would always say, he's got the best job in the world. Well, you were the bat boy. Then I got a little older, and I would watch the players, and I say, they have the best job in the world. You got to be a player, man. You amazing. You've had a great run.
That is awesome.
I've been, I mean, that's another, obviously, one of the things I'm very, very grateful for. I talked about it a little before, but to be able to have worn all these hats and to be involved in this game, people talk about all the time, why did you go become a first base coach after you were GM? That's just such a lowly job. I go, really? Lowly job? It's an unbelievable job with the Boston Red Sox, who are a great team with great people and great fans. I mean, come on. You were like John Quincy Adams. After he became president, he went back and became a U.S. senator. He loved his job.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, I mean,
and apologize to nobody.
That's right, and that really does speak to how much you love the game. I mean, you're right. I mean, you could have done anything you wanted to, I suppose, but you're like, no, I want to get back on and get in uniform, get on the field. I mean, teach some kids. And we had Mookie Betts on earlier this year, and he talked a lot about what you taught him, on the field and off the field. So
yeah, it's fun stuff, man. Lucky.
Yeah,
very lucky man.
Yeah, no doubt,
and great.
Yes. I think we're all grateful to be in baseball. We're all grateful to be doing this show. We're all grateful for our listeners and viewers as well. So everybody have a great Thanksgiving. If
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah. Have a great Thanksgiving. You too, everybody listening. Maybe you're in your car, driving up to a relative's house, or getting on your plane and flying across country to celebrate the holidays. So we'll be back, and eventually, the Phillies are going to do something.
Yeah, they are.
They're going to do something. Yeah, they're going to do something, and we'll be here to talk about it. So take care, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.